Yes, how did they get into vaulting? Viktor was doing farm gymnastics and Nora wanted to go to horses anyway, so I thought that if they started vaulting, they would definitely want to ride at some point. And as a mother, I also have the opportunity to come back to the horse or to ride or groom. So the grooming part worked out.
Im Voltigierverein Pegasus Garbsen war das.
It was at the Pegasus Garbsen Vaulting Club, and we didn't do too badly there. And my mother thought that we liked it as well. And then she made my father put us on the waiting list. And there, at some point, we joined the club. However, I also remember that there were often times that I did not really want to go to train. Absolutely, because I didn't want to wear these vaulting shoes.
Weil ich diese Voltigierschuhe nicht anziehen wollte.
And he was supposed to wear leggings, and he said he wouldn't do that. He said that for a while, but then he realised, okay, either I put on leggings or I'm not part of this. And then he also understood that it was functional sportswear.
2008, at my very first or after my very first championship in Brünn. These were the first official European championships. I was in first place until the last round, and then, in the last round, I touched the ground and lost by a very narrow margin of 5 thousandths. Against a Slovakian, I think. Thomas Sater. But I went there to win. I then went to the kiss and cry area, which I'd never been in before, and I didn't know how to behave there. And I wasn't happy either. I'll say I didn't cry or anything. I didn't feel like doing this anymore.
Ich habe auch nicht geheult oder so, ich war einfach, hatte keinen Bock mehr.
But I still had to go to the award ceremony, where I picked up my silver medal, which I didn't want at all. Yes, and that's when I really pulled a face. You have to learn how to win, and above all, how to lose.
Aber jedenfalls hat da Breidor Graf zu Rantzau.
But anyway, Breidor Graf zu Rantzau, the president, was watching in Brno, and then wrote me a letter and told me. He let me know, that's not right, that wouldn't be acceptable. My behaviour towards spectators in particular, and especially towards the national coach. It's an honour to compete for Germany. I didn't really understand that at first, but in hindsight I did. I then replied to him with the help of my mother. Then I received a handwritten letter from Breidor Graf zu Rantzau on stationery. And since then, when I shook hands with him at the championships ball and met him backstage, he told me, "Aha, my pen pal. We know each other." Yes, that was basically the first step towards learning how to lose. Viktor isn't like that either. The horseman. He has an interest and he looks after his horse, and that's why I think it suits us quite well. I'm more of a horse's uncle. I like to puzzle around. Me? I enjoy being around horses. I like that a lot. Lars definitely stands out for his ability to handle horses, and he has finally proven how quickly he can train a horse. Very, very well, and also presented at a competition. That's him for me. And I think I can speak for my brothers too. Somehow he really is the best. Perhaps the best lunger in the world.
Vielleicht der beste Longenführer von der Welt, so.
I think it's good that it was Lars. In the beginning too, otherwise Viktor might not have had a career at all. So two people met who clashed with each other, but who gave a lot to each other.
I learned from Lars the world's best compulsory test. Everything I learned about it, he taught me. He was also, I would say, somehow in my most formative years, from 15 until 20 or 21, he was a kind of big brother function for me, and he had a formative influence on me, starting with how I dealt with alcohol. For example, in that time, such stories, and also dealing with the ladies. In a way, he had some quiet impact on me. Maybe even a bit too much.
Ja, viel Einfluss auf mich, vielleicht sogar zu viel.
So it was a blessing for Viktor's career that Lars came to Hanover and they met? I think that was the decisive factor, because he simply learned the right technique through him. And really, right. Lars was also really ambitious and really pushed them forward. But then also let him down. I think that was the hardest blow, at first.
When I went to South Africa back then, I think I left Viktor and Tommy and Yannick pretty much on their own. I've tried to organise it as best I can so that the horses can continue to be worked, that they all have a trainer or a lunger. But yes, that is, in the end, why I left.
Das war 2011 nach der Saison und das war echt.
That was in 2011, after the season, and it was really something. I have to say it wasn't that straightforward. In the end, I took it a bit personally, in the sense that I somehow thought I wasn't enough for him, as a vaulter or as a friend, as a buddy to keep him. I think that the 4 or 5 years before that were probably also a good reason for him to return to the sport, or to get back into the sport, to stay there. And then at some point it wasn't enough anymore.
Da zu bleiben und irgendwann war es dann wohl nicht mehr genug.
I think you're going to have to hold my hand when we watch this. I've never watched this before. I just watched it recently. And on my...
I've suppressed it.
Yes, me too. I also stopped for a long time and on my way to work that off. It was somehow still on the list, about the two of you, to watch it together.
Gemeinsam anzugucken. Also sportliche Niederlagen, würde ich sagen.
So sporting defeats, I would say, are always a better teacher than victories. I can name a couple or so right now. A couple of two really annoying second places. I remember them more and more.
Immer mehr. Ja, das war scheiße.
That was shit. That was, I would say that I'm still coming to terms with that to some extent. That was back in Kentucky in 2010. We were working towards it for a long time. I'd say we were really in shape for it, and then Ricky and I actually really slid down. It was actually a bit like slow motion, even if it was only for a very short moment, because the horse was empty. Of course, there were a ton of penalties. And of course, I was on top and stood sideways, held her there in the jump, slipped out of the grip with my foot. Now you can say that the horse didn't walk perfectly. I don't know if the lunger reacted perfectly, but at the end of the day it's all excuses. I don't know how Ricky jumped off. I was definitely very much to blame.
Ganz groß dran mit Schuld. Und vor allem war es halt
above all, it was also the case that this exercise was not actually a key exercise, and that it had already gone wrong beforehand. Yes, and then Ule even said, yes, leave it out. At the time, it was of medium importance to me, her opinion.
Mittelwichtig, ihre Meinung.
And then Alex Hartl, who was our trainer and lunge leader, somehow decided that in the end.
Entschieden.
And then we collectively said, yes, let's do the exercise.
Machen wir die Übung.
And there was a mistake. Ule was right, unfortunately.
Hat Ulla recht behalten. Leider.
All its strengths are, of course, in any case, the strength. And I would say that his main strength is actually in squad vaulting, as a standing rider, because everyone he worked with trusted him blindly.
Die haben ihn schon blind vertraut.
He always had a really good relationship with them, and also joked around a lot. But I also think that's what they need. But when it comes to the horse, he always gave him the feeling that, yes, I had everything under control, even if he himself might have felt insecure at times. He never passed that feeling on to the little ones.
Das Gefühl an die Kleinen nie weitergegeben.
I would say that he definitely knows what to do thanks to his many years of experience and was definitely able to teach me a lot personally in terms of composure. Sometimes perhaps a little too much in terms of preparation. Yes, and also the confidence on the horse, that you can cover up mistakes and things like that. He's already taught me a lot.
Wir waren ja viele Einzelcharaktere in dem Team auch vorher. Ne?
We were a lot of individual characters in the squad. And even before that, the individual riders were not unsuccessful. And so we were able to form a squad, and above all, we were all accepted for who we are. A simple example, I am someone who can train and work super hard, and I stay for a long time. Maybe I even train the hardest, do weight training, and so on and so forth. But I'm just too late. My quarter of an hour was somehow like that. It was accepted. It was okay. I don't do it on purpose either. Yes, sometimes that doesn't happen to me every time, but it does happen from time to time. And I also have other quirks. Sometimes when I find something unfair, how someone is treated or what is decided, sometimes I can't live with it or have to make it known, vent or something.
Schlecht mit leben oder muss das kundtun, mich einmal auskotzen oder sowas.
He also has a very, very big heart for the sport and has been very involved in it and has also pushed a lot of things in the background, especially emotionally here and there, and you can give him a lot of credit for that. For example, if someone steals an element from someone else, Viktor goes first. Hey, did you ask him if he was allowed to do that? Yes, there are unwritten rules and he simply has a great understanding of honor. Athletes, of course, sometimes fight hard with each other when it comes to competition, but they always find common ground. And Viktor is a vibrant figure in this. I would call it a real, energetic pole. In the whole scene of vaulting, he would be clearly missed if he would not be engaged in it anymore.
Wo schon was fehlen würde, wenn Viktor da auf einmal nicht mehr dabei ist.